Good morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are watching this from or whenever you find this. Welcome to the Nourishing Soul. I am Mary Gundrum, your host, tour guide. The Nourishing Soul is a place where we enlighten, expand, expand the consciousness, and educate. So kick back, relax, get yourself your favorite beverage, and enjoy. Today I'm here. I don't have a guest, so I'm going to talk about divinity. And it, I really do feel that this is the time that we are being guided to find our truth, our divinity, and connect to that. And that is the soul. So divinity is not far away or reserved for the holy few. It is the sacred energy that flows through everything, through you, through me, through every breath and heartbeat. Take a breath and think about that for a minute. So that divinity, that spark within us, is what connects us all. That's what makes us all divine beings of God, divine creator, universe, spirit, energy, whatever you choose to call it. That's what that is. That's really what we need to connect to again. And unfortunately, I feel that the false programming and the societal beliefs that we have been manipulated to believe by media, um, you know, advertisements, teachers, even schools, the books we were told to read, who knows what was truth and what wasn't truth. We've really, we were programmed to believe what to think instead of how to think, and that goes right to who we are. We were programmed to believe that we were a certain something. We were the daughter or son, or the college professor, or the husband, wife, mother, father. We identified by the careers or the jobs we had, and we never connected to our truth, our divinity. If you ask somebody who they are, they usually will say, well, I'm a single mother, or I'm a teacher. No, that's not who you are. And, I've worked with clients that they don't know what they want to do, or, what ignites their passion. And I feel that that also is because we're not connected to our divine truth, our divinity. The word divinity often brings to mind the image of God, something vast, powerful, and beyond our understanding. But divinity is more than a being. It is being itself. It is the essence of life, pure love, pure awareness, pure presence. So we're human beings. So the human part is the body, the physical form that houses the being part, which is the soul, which is that divine connection. And I know that many, many people can't connect the dots, because we've also been told, even in Christianity, I was raised Catholic. There's a lot of things about the Catholic Mass that I endure and enjoy and love. But, before we go to receive communion, Lord, I am not worthy to receive. Who says? If we're divine beings and we have that connectedness, why am I not worthy? What do I have to do to make myself worthy? We should live from a loving intention all the time, but that doesn't always happen. So being connected to source, to God, to the universe, to light, whatever you choose to call it, is what brings us to that worthiness, that true worthiness. Different traditions call it different names, like I said, spirit, source, God, universe, the light, yet they all point to the same truth. So if you've studied any of the sacred texts, they primarily say the same thing, and they're just using different language, different verbiage. So when you really unravel all the tales, so to speak, you can open up to seeing what is that truth? What is that? That really truly connects us all. So divinity refers to the state, quality, or nature of being divine. That is, or pertaining to God, a deity, or sacred, whatever you want, however you want to phrase that. So as I just said, that connection is that soul. So we are that God. We are that divine being. We are that sacred being. But we need to reconnect to that because we've been put way out here. I'll be happy when I get that promotion or when I get my new car. Everything we project is outside of ourselves, but that comes from what we've been taught, what we were programmed to believe. So we have to undo all that. I truly believe that. And when I do, I offer spiritual counseling. I'm an ordained minister. If you don't know anything about me, I have psychic gifts that I've had since I was a child, and I have an education in spiritual counseling. And the path of spiritual counseling for me and the way I work with my clients is to go in and to start to remove all those blocks, those false program beliefs, the traumas, whether they're small t or capital T, we all have something, and some we have more, but we have to clear that all out of the way in order to connect to that truth, that soul being, what we came in here intended to be before the world, society got a hold of us and twisted it all around and confused our beliefs. And I don't know if it was Gandhi or who said it, that children should be taught how to think and not what to think. So when you think about that, it's not just children, because those children grow up to be us. And we're still, asking for advice, not knowing where to go, what to think, how to look, how to dress. Yeah, why? Why can't we just be? Why can't we just be that divine being that we were intended to be? Where do we get so jammed up on worrying about everything outside of us? Am I going to make a good impression? Last week I did an attempt on this podcast. This is new. Learning as I go along. You talk about stepping outside the comfort zone. And I used to have a podcast, but I had a producer. So the behind the scenes stuff was all done for me. And here I am out on my own. And last week I couldn't even figure out how to go live, which really at this point doesn't matter because people don't even know that I'm here and they will eventually find me. But I didn't stop. I mean, it was not the best performance by any means. And I could have just said, oh, no, I can't do this. But I know that I need to do this. I need to do this to help educate, to be the light, to shine bright, to share love and uplift others. And if you talked to me 10 years ago, first of all, I probably wouldn't even have done this. And secondly, after last week, I would definitely said, I can't do this, and would have folded it all up. But because of all the work that I've done, personal work, going within, going in the silence, connecting, I know that it's more than that. It's not about how I look on here or if I get it perfect. It's about the message. So, in a theological sense, divinity is the essence or nature of God or gods, a deity, a divine being itself, which we are. Philosophically, it is the ultimate reality or principle that transcends the material world. Hence, going within, being able to go beyond this material world, which we can. We all can. And the general sense is anything possessing qualities associated with the divine. That's our soul. We have that context. That divinity is in us. It's in us, in you, me, everyone. So if we got to start somewhere, I always say you can talk yourself into something as quickly as you could talk yourself out of someone, something like I just said about doing the podcast. I could have easily talked myself out of doing this, but I know that I needed to do it because I'm being guided, because I'm connected to my divine truth. Am I perfect with it? No. But every time I learn, I get stronger, I get closer. The point is, you have to start somewhere because we are those divine beings, even though Christianity, maybe society, they didn't want us to know that. It's like in The Wizard of Oz, the good witch Glinda says something to Dorothy about you've had it with you all along, the power with you, however she said it. And that's us. We've all along had that power, that connectedness to the divine. So return to that. We came in with it. Divinity within itself is a profound, widely explored idea across spirituality. It refers to the belief or realization that the divine, God, the sacred, the ultimate truth is not external, but also present within us. Hello? Did you hear that? It's present within us. So Christian mysticism, the divine spark or image of God exists in every soul. That's every being, everyone. And mystics like Meister Eckhart taught that God can be found within through deep contemplation and surrender. A lot of people have a hard time with that because we're in this fast-paced society. We're always looking for instant gratification. We're overstimulated. We have all this technology bombarding us all the time. We're thrill seekers. We just want to feel good. We want that, seeking that pleasure, which, by the way, pleasure is outside of us, peace is within us. So when you start to put the dots together, it's like, yeah, why am I always like go, go, go? So it takes practice. Everything's a practice. Meditation is a practice. You want to be good at something, you practice it and practice it and practice it. And there is no right or wrong. And we don't go completely silent. Our thoughts don't stop coming. But the key is to let them roll by, the thoughts. Don't be like the squirrel in the road and let her focus and go right out the window with the thought. And if it does, we bring ourselves back with a centering breath or whatever. If you're doing focal point, there are so many forms of meditation, and I'm sure um, eventually there'll be a show on meditation and different forms and different ways to do it. But the important thing is that we do it, and it doesn't have to be for hours. If we take 10 minutes, and the better you get, the more you get connected, the easier it is that when you're in your office or wherever and it's all kinds of chaos going around you, it's easy just to remind yourself with a deep centering breath. I'm in here. What is that? They're not my monkeys. It's not my circus. I like that because what goes on outside is exactly that. It's outside. With all the chaos and uncertainty that's going on in the world today, I would like to use the analogy. If you're watching a movie, you're observing it. You do not step into it. And it's the same thing with what's going on outside of us. The only thing that we truly have control over is how we respond to those things that are outside of us. Again, going within, finding that stillness, that peace. That's really the truth. That's really what we need to do. As Jesus said in Luke 17:21, the kingdom of God is within us. Now, whether you believe in God or not, the kingdom is within us. The beauty is within us. The peace is within us. The glory is within us. It's all within us. So we have to rearrange and adjust the false program beliefs and clear the crap out so we can connect. Carl Jung said that the self with a capital S is the totality of who you are, conscious, unconscious, and it reflects something numerous, even divine. Carl Jung also said that we are born 3 times. The first time when we were born into this world, the second time that we were born into the human ego, and the third time that we were born into our spiritual truth. Not everyone is born into that spiritual truth. Not everyone is capable, for whatever reason, to connect. I do, I see it with clients. There's some that will start to feel better as they work through all the things that they have to clear away. And then when it gets a little bit close to those capital T traumas, the fear steps in and they back away. And that, I think, is what keeps people from birthing into the spiritual truth is the fear. And, no matter what you have faith in, we have faith, whatever it is, if it's God's universe, whatever you want to call it. If you're in faith, you can't be in fear because it doesn't coexist. And I'm sure you've heard that a million times. But it's truth. Because when we have faith, we know that all is in divine order. It might not be the way we want it. It might not be what our expectations were, or our vision board, or our goals, or our 5-year plan, because it's not that. It's the plan of the divine. It's greater than our human ego mind, which we all have no problem birthing into. That human ego mind, and that takes over, and that's where the fear comes in, and that's where the worry comes in, and that's where I got to do better or I'm not good enough comes in. If we're all created in the divine image, because that's the divinity within us, then we're all perfect. You ever think about that? Abraham Maslow said at the top of the hierarchy is self-transcendence, the state where the person goes beyond ego and feels connected to something greater, often described as sacred. Isn't that beautiful? When we transcend, there's nothing but beauty, nothing but sacred. And we don't have to leave this physical body, which we eventually will, to feel that sacredness. We can have it now if we choose. It really is a choice of wanting to or not wanting to. So you are sacred. Your being holds inherent value and potential, but you have to connect to it first. Wisdom, love, compassion aren't just ideals. They are expression of the divine already in you. It's like the pleasure. We're always seeking pleasure. We're always seeking that it'll get better when I got to get there before I can be happy, or I got to meet. Oh, this one gets me. When am I going to meet that man or woman? Because I want to be happy. It's not what makes you happy. When you are complete, whole, happy, and have that peace within you, then you attract in the right partner. And that right partner will be whole, a divine soul being and connected. And together, you will enhance the happiness and the joy and the peace in life. So it's not someone that's going to make you complete. It's someone that's going to enhance your completeness, and you want to meet someone that is complete. So spiritual practice. So again, meditation, prayer, mindfulness, self-inquiry can help you access and express the divinity. So you have to do the work. Another thing that our society is not only looking outside of themselves for the pleasure and the thrills, but we also want to do it the lazy way. What's the quick fix? Years ago, I had a office in Florida, and I worked with people for nutrition and weight loss. And it's not like you have a magic pill. Well, yeah, the pharmaceutical company, yeah, they have all kinds of stuff now. But it's, you have to really do the work, because even if you do, crazy shots or surgeries or something like that, if you don't change this, connecting to the divinity within, you're going to roll right back, because you still have all those layers of false program beliefs, all body image distortions, whatever it is that you're dealing with. So my business is Wellness Mary, and I nourish mind, body, and soul. That's my tagline. And over the years, background fitness nutrition, I worked with different doctors. I did a lot of different things. And then when I stepped in and became ordained as a minister and did my studies, I realized that number one is the divinity. Because when you have that connectedness to your true divinity, the other things fall into place. It's like, you put the cart before the horse. I'll go on a crash diet, lose all the weight. Well, guess what? It doesn't teach you anything except how to fit into a smaller size for a short period of time. So truly, the connectedness to the divine is what's key. So we have to do the work for ourselves. No one's going to do it for us. Healing often involves reclaiming the inner light or truth that got buried under shame, fear, and trauma. Yeah. Isn't that the message that's kind of been streaming through this whole podcast so far? We got to clear that crap out so we can get to our truth. Eckhart also said, if you can't find God in yourself, you will never find him anywhere else. That is so powerful. So powerful. And understand that finding that connection to the divinity within yourself is not about believing something outside of you, but about remembering something deeply that is inside of you. Something that has always been there, quietly waiting for you to make that connection and notice. And all this stuff that's going on, and the veil is very thin, and we're so much more connected. It's like you can hear that soul knocking. We get these little twinges, and it's like, hey, I'm in here. Let's connect. Let's connect. The connection can be subtle. It's not always life-changing, but it could be life-changing too. It could be gradual. It could be sudden. It's less about the dogma, which we've been taught a lot about that, and more about the direct experience, the self-awareness, and the inner alignment. Most people were raised in households, and this goes to what I was talking about with being taught what to think. So whether it's politics or religion, we're raised in a household that if they're Democrat or Republican, we grow up to be whatever it was. And the same thing with religion. And, Christianity, I really feel, and I was raised Catholic, as I said earlier, I feel that they didn't want us to know that we had this wonderful power, this gift within us. Because how do you control someone who has that wonderful power and gift within us? And that's all the stuff that's happening right now. So is Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. Turn inward, true divinity, subtle, and it's drowned out by the noise of life. Meditate, sit in nature, simply practice quiet presence. In the silence, we begin to remember the deeper nature of ourselves. So you have to start somewhere. There's so many things. Your body is not separate from the divine. It's the temple that holds it. And that's why I said earlier that when you connect to the divine, everything else kind of becomes easier because you see the importance of that, knowing that. Living heart-centered life. There's a quote from Sue Wisdom: the longest journey you will ever take is from your head to your heart. Yeah, it's even when you get those intuitive hits, the gut instinct, we have a tendency of getting that and then going in the head, in the ego mind, and we can twist it all around and talk ourselves out of it and not trust in that. And that's really our divine messages that we receive that way. And then the human ego steps in, and that's when we get lost. When we try to control, we get further away. Allowing is the key. Every year, I always go into meditation and ask Spirit, what is the overall message for the year? And this year was surrender. And it's played out in so many forms in so many ways. And, we have to surrender and allow, because if we don't, we're never going to get there. So living heart-centered, the divine doesn't speak through fear or force. It whispers through compassion, forgiveness, love, gratitude, and humility. When you act from your heart, you are expressing your true divinity. And I always believe that no matter what it is we're doing, if we do it with loving intention, you can't go wrong. And that's even for self. We have a lot of negative self talk that we don't even really are conscious that we're saying. So, again, being mindful, we become aware of those things. Um, Next week, and the shows are a little shorter when I'm doing them myself because um, I don't want to just sit here rattling because I don't really think that there's that great of importance about that. But so I'm gonna put my website up there, and also um, if you want to support the channel, I greatly appreciate it. You can buy me a coffee up in the corner. There's the QR code. I will add it to the chat, I guess, if I can somewhere. I don't know, but that's the buy me a coffee, and there's my website. Right now, I have great deals going on because everybody's in a struggle more or less, and I'm doing 50% off all my readings, and I have other discounts for the spiritual counseling, holistic health coaching. I'm also offering gift certificates for the readings. So if you want to give the gift of guidance, get in touch, go to my website. There's a link at the top for gift certificates. And if you have any questions or you want to chat a little bit deeper about this topic or other topics, I do offer free consultation calls. You can also book that at my website under services. And I don't high pressure you to work with me or buy anything from me because that's just not my thing. I'm here doing the work that I need to do, and I listen to the guidance of the divine. And that's so don't hesitate. If you have a question or you just go ahead, come at me, ask me. Schedule an appointment. So since like I said, I didn't advertise that I was going to be doing this, so I don't have any chats going on here. There might be people chatting on another site, like because it's going out to different places, and I apologize. um, I'm not seeing them, but after I get off, I will go back to like Facebook and the different places and see if there's any chats going on, and I will answer them. um, but I thank you all. I hope that you will tune in next week. I'll be streaming live again Tuesday at noon, and I will have a special guest. Most of my guests are friends. I know, being in the industry and being around for as long as I've been around, I know a lot of really amazing healers and teachers and practitioners. And next week I have Michelle Troop, who's going to join me, and we're going to talk about energy and light language and fifth dimensional healing and all that fun stuff. So even if you miss it, you can always go back and see it. But thank you so much. Thank you for connecting with me, my divinity to your divinity. And I wish you many, many blessings until next week. Thank you.